Hey kids, I thought we would take a minute here or more, it's going to take a while, to go through your test review and be sure that if there's questions or concerns, that you will be able to ask those. And at the same time, I will have a subsequent video that will go through some of the word problems that are on here to be sure you get them right. So this little video clip is just to cover some of the facts that are on here and the information that you need to know. Number one, if you know the volume means space. Volume means space of a container. If you know the space of the container of gas, then you know its volume. If you know the volume of the container, gas fills whatever container it's in. So that is its space, its volume. Same. Mass is matter. It's the amount of matter. And those are the two things. These two things, volume and mass, are using the equations, the equation for density that you've been practicing with. So over time, you can expect the mass to change. The mass, the amount of matter, matter, to change in a child, B. Gravity is a force. We measure forces as weight. The force towards the earth forces are measured in newtons. That's your next thing. A force, you learn push and pull force is measured in newtons. The next one, question 5, we're going to cover. I'm going to write that out for you when at the camera tomorrow. I just want to get you some of this covered tonight. Basically, you're coming up with mass by rearranging the equation for density, which is D equals M over V, mass over volume. And we'll rearrange that, and I'll show you how to get your answer on paper tomorrow. Number 6, you want to make a box hold 55 dominoes, and you know the space or the volume, length times width times height. You multiply those times the 55, and you'll get the volume or space. Again, I'll give you which one of those answer choices are right on paper and such tomorrow. So number 5 and 6 will be on paper. Number 7, a milliliter. The lesson in this: which of the following are the same volume? Volume is space. A milliliter and a centimeter cubed are the same, as we did on that one worksheet. They're the same. So, as a matter of fact, in measurements, so many cc's, you're going to give a cow so many cc's of something, you're giving them so many milliliters. So C is your correct answer there. Number 8, the SI unit for expressing matter, mass matter, it would be C, kilograms. The weight, again, is expressed in newtons. It's a force. Your weight is a force. If two things have the same size, whether it's a sponge and a brick, or a brick and would be that are measuring the same, that would be the same length times width times height, they have the same volume, B. What is the density of a substance that has the mass of this and the volume of that? You will be given the equation on the test, D equals M over V. You take mass divided by volume, and it's going to be a fraction, isn't it? 5 over 40. That's not a whole number. That's a fraction. So that eliminates 3 of the 4 choices. Even without a calculator, you know the answer is A. But you could plug it in, and I'll go through that with you again on paper tomorrow, as well as number 12. That's another density. All of these are D equal M over V. Number 13, same thing. We'll work it out on paper. This one is just a matter of remembering that if something is lighter in density than 1 gram per milliliter, it's going to float. So you have a bar of soap and it sinks, its density must be greater than 1. Ivory soap floats, so it must have a density of less than 1. How do you figure the density? The way we've been doing it. Mass, 120 grams, divided by volume. So it's going to be less than 1. So that means it's going to float. It's less dense than water. C. Grease floats on the top of water, like in if you're washing dishes. You have spaghetti sauce and it's floating on the top. That's because it's less dense than water. And that means its density is less, D. And so the chefs use that to get the grease off the top of whatever they're cooking. You can always let it solidify and then just pick it off. But no matter what, luckily, we can remove grease very easily because of its density. Oils float on top of the ocean because they have a low density. They don't sink down and layer up in the bottom of the ocean. To measure the volume, space of a screw, you're going to do that trick of putting it into a graduated cylinder and seeing how much the water rises. How much space did it take up? Think about you to find your volume would put you in a big graduated cylinder and see if you overflowed it. Well, then you're going to have a bigger graduated cylinder. But however much the water rises in the tub, if you totally dunk under, is your volume, is your space you're taking up. And so that's what we would do to find the volume of a screw. This is your simple volume is length times width times height. Volume and you multiply the units as well. So the correct answer is C. Which of the following has the least amount of mass? The least mass is a table tennis ball, a ping pong ball. That's D. It doesn't have much mass to it. Density of water, you just need to know that. It's 1 gram per milliliter. Correct answer is B. How would you get the volume of a human? You would do displacement, making the water rise and seeing how much it rises to find that person's volume. You can't do length times width times height because we're not a big old cube. You're irregular in shape, and a scale measures your weight. These other math problems, we'll work through those to be sure you can do them. And as I have put in the notes, do not embrace taking the test until you have practiced and have looked over and gone through this a few times and have an understanding. Mass matter, volume space, density means low floats, and the pieces of equipment and the units that you use for these simple measurements. But the test will be available to you tomorrow from class time at, I have it at 10:30. I know your class time is usually supposed to be either second or ninth period, but I'll have it available to you at 10:30. And just don't take it right then. Practice these things. By 10:30, 11 o'clock, somewhere around there is my conference, so I'll put the video on working through these particular problems. But I'm hoping that with your practice that you have already mastered calculating density and will have absolutely no problem tomorrow. Have a great evening.